The Kia Rio is a fine device for going from point A to point B. It's easy to drive and reasonably comfortable. Kia's warranty is great too. There's not much personality to it, but if you need something inexpensive, the Rio will serve your needs perfectly. The Kia Rio is a survivor. Most subcompact sedans this size have long since been discontinued. Even the Toyota Yaris that earned our top-rated ranking in 2020 got the boot, but the Rio has been in production since it debuted for the 2001 model year. Just sing along to the lyrics of Destiny's Child's Survivor as you drive along in your Rio. I'm a survivor, I'm not going to give up, I'm not going to stop, I'm going to work harder. This small car has remained popular over the years for its inexpensive base price, high fuel economy and long warranty. For 2021, the Rio gets new styling on its front and rear bumpers plus a standard 8-inch touchscreen to make it more enticing. There's also wireless connectivity for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So you no longer have to use a USB cord to activate these smartphone connection systems. Remaining rivals on the market include the Hyundai Accent, Nissan Versa and Mitsubishi Mirage G4. The Rio is a solid pick here and delivers on everything we expect for an entry-level sedan or hatchback. The Rio is underpowered and underwhelming on the road. The 1.6-liter four-cylinder engine makes just 120 horsepower, and while that's typically enough for city streets, you have to use every single one to get up to speed on the highway. Lane changes and overtakes require more caution than anything else, and gaps that would be easy to exploit in most cars require more thought to slot into thanks to the Rio's prevailing lack of punch. The one saving grace has to be its continuously variable automatic transmission, which is smooth and does a commendable job of exploiting what power the Rio has. Because of the Rio's soft suspension tune and near gripless all-season tires, it's not all that enjoyable to zoom around city streets. The steering is far too eager to recenter itself and has an elastic feel to it. The Rio is a car that's happiest at half speed, and for its target audience, that's likely more than enough. The Rio's price of entry might be low, but that doesn't mean you're getting something that isn't sophisticated enough to deal with the ruts, lumps, and bumps of day-to-day driving. A squishy suspension tune and tall tire sidewalls mean that the Rio rides surprisingly well. It isn't perfect, but the ride is better than you might expect. Unfortunately, we can't stop there. The soft ride is a plus, but wind noise is almost always audible inside the cabin, and even if the suspension is set up for comfort, you do get shocks through the seat while going over bigger bumps. The seat itself is conventionally shaped, but it offers neither above-average support nor comfort. Also, the absence of any armrest padding just feels inconsiderate. Durable plastics coat a Spartan interior, but simplicity is one of the Rio's strong suits. It gets high marks for ease of use with logically laid out physical climate controls and easy-to-read dials. It's also quite easy to see out of the cabin in all directions and relatively roomy inside, even though it's one of the smallest cars on the market. One of our biggest complaints with the interior has to be the compromised driving position. Because the wheel doesn't telescope, taller drivers will feel like they will need to sit too close to the pedals to be comfortable. We understand that cheap cars aren't the places to look for luscious interior spaces, but we'd happily pay a little more for some of the basic creature comforts that would take the pain out of commutes. The Rio's infotainment system is easy to navigate and simple to zip through, and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard niceties. We did find ourselves wishing for a slightly nicer stereo, but the system in the Rio is hard to fault. If anything, Kia could have included more safety features in the Rio. Blind spot monitoring was something we missed, and the lane keeping assist system in the Rio is nowhere near as helpful as those in other Kias like the K5 and Seltos. Small cars might be built to a price. But that doesn't mean you should be forced to miss out on important safety tech. Despite its small stature, the Rio, in its hatchback version, offers a surprising amount of space for cargo loading. With the rear seats up, you're offered 17.4 cubic feet of free space in the hatch area. That's a little bigger than what you get from a typical midsize sedan's trunk, assuming you load all the way to the roof. Fold the second row down and you'll have 32.8 cubic feet available. A low floor makes loading and unloading an effortless experience. The Rio's interior cabin storage features the requisite cubbies and cup holders, but it isn't exceptional in this regard. Also, the center console is pretty small, but to be fair, it's a narrow car. The limited rear quarters won't be optimal for fitting a car seat either, and there's no special access to latch anchors offered. According to EPA estimates, the Rio will get 36 miles per gallon combined, 33 city/41 highway, but in our hands the Rio performed far better. Over the course of our 115-mile evaluation route, the super-sipping Rio managed an impressive 43 miles per gallon. It's one of the most fuel-efficient non-hybrid cars we've recently tested. Our test car stickered for around $20,000, making it one of the least expensive new cars you can buy. Given that fairly low price point, the Rio is actually pretty well built. The cabin has a lot of hard plastic panels, but they will likely hold up well after years of abuse. Unfortunately for the Rio, the Kia Forte, which doesn't cost that much more, offers more back seat space, a better ride, and looks and feels significantly more modern. That said, there's little doubt that the Rio is a good value for the money. Kia's excellent warranties provide 5 years 60,000 miles of bumper-to-bumper and 10 years 100,000 miles of powertrain coverage. Roadside assistance is also provided for the duration of the 5-year warranty period. Unfortunately for the Rio, what it lacks most of all is personality. Sometimes small cars have a bit of charm to the way they drive, but that's not the case here. The Rio is a device. It's an easygoing companion that asks for little more than a little fuel in return for its services. And that's all it has to be. If you're looking for something with a little X factor for the same money, you're going to have to look elsewhere.